All right. Welcome. Welcome back. How we doing today? Morning, guys. Margin, Nomitz, Aiden, Ponzi, Darth. Good morning. David SPX. All the familiar faces. Chef, Checo, Paul, Alex, Blessed. What's up, guys? How we doing? Man, I'm golfing Saturday. I can't wait. I cannot wait. It is back to golfing time in Florida. Well, it's technically the worst time to golf, but it's also not the least expensive time to golf. I don't golf during the season. I'm not spending $200 for a round of golf when a few months later it's $50. Man, I'm excited. It's been a while. How would you guys like content where you have me going out to the course, I bring a guest, and that guest is a trader, a popular trader online, and we have a camera set up on the cart, we have a cameraman following us around, we got the shot tracker, we got the scorecard on the screen, and we just got good. You guys, I'm sure a lot of you watch good or have watched golf videos before. How would you like that with different traders? And just sort of like talking about trading and all that, making it chill, making it fun, not making it so serious. What would you guys, would you watch that? I've been thinking about doing something like that. I feel like that would be a fun time. Maybe even we bring some of you guys on. Get Chef out here. Yeah. What's my handicap? I'm getting a message from I shoot like on a good day, like a mid-90s, low 90s on a really good day. So I'm not great, but I could play. Like, I'm not going to go out there and make a fool out of myself. So, I mean, I'm definitely I don't shoot in the 80s. But, a normal play around, just not really taking it too serious, probably shoot like 100. So, not great, but good enough to make a video and have fun with it. I'm not going to look like a total idiot out there. You and Trader at Tootsie's would be fun. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe get Carmine over to Tootsie's one night. Yeah, sure. All right. Welcome back. Happy Thursday. Yesterday was a major turnaround day for me. We finally got some action on the market, and I was able to trade it, right? Shocking. My biggest day is a day where we actually see some pretty decent downside, some pretty decent flowing, movement. Not so. It was a day where you didn't have to worry about the next candle just absolutely railing you. I mean, that's pretty much the feeling that has been inside this market, right? It's like, oh, I got to move in my direction over the last 2 minutes, and I have to worry about the next candle absolutely just going straight up again. And so that's been really hard to manage, right? Not knowing what that next candle brings, because there's been so much volatility and chop inside these actions, inside these ranges. Yesterday, we finally got something that looked like it wanted to go down, right? You finally saw a shift. There was something in the intraday where you said, hey, something's getting a little bit weak here. And that is due to the, again, failure to move higher. Again, right? That CPI move up hit that rejection point. We were very cautious of it yesterday morning. If you guys came to the live stream, we were saying, be careful here, right? This doesn't really look like it's going to hold up too well. And if it breaks down under the previous day highs, it's going to get weak. And so that's pretty much exactly what happened. Took full advantage of it yesterday. Took my loss on MicroStrategy, which sucked, but was able to make back those losses. And that's what trading's all about, on a better opportunity, on another opportunity. So very happy with yesterday. I feel like I got some momentum behind me. So hopefully we can turn this month around. So far the month's been okay. It's been a slow start, but we'll see. Maybe we can heat up towards the middle of June. If you guys didn't watch my video on my May P&L, make sure to watch that video today. That is a new video, and I have some, I spent a lot of money on that video actually. With getting the content to be better, man. I'm spending a lot of money on content. I want to continue to grow. I don't want to be complacent with what we have built. So let's continue to get better every day. And if you guys want to support me, go watch that video and check out some good content there. Also, quote of the day. Everyone read that quote. That's a big quote right there. I found that one this morning and I really liked it. Limit your size so that fear does not become the prevailing instinct guiding your judgment. If fear is guiding your judgment, it is because you have too much money in the position. That cannot be a thing. If that is a thing, you are set up to fail. So, limit your size so that fear is not guiding your judgment. Very important. Please think about those words and please apply that to your trading. Okay? All right. Well, first things first. Today, PPI, we all know that. 8:30. We'll see what happens on the PPI. Unemployment claims as well at 8:30, so let's watch that. The bond auction yesterday actually created some volatility, so we could be watching that 30-year bond auction today at 1 o'clock. So let's watch that. And then tomorrow, consumer sentiment, Friday. That is going to be important as well. Really no news today. Earnings, Oracle last night, Adobe, Restoration Hardware. Oh, shit. How did Lovesac and Hooker do? We'll take a look. How did Lovesac and Hooker do? Anyone? The only news today, which is very sad news, is that plane crash, the Boeing plane in India that crashed. So rest in peace to those people. That's terrible. I mean, that's my biggest fear right there. So terrible to see that this morning. Obviously causing some problems on Boeing. Something that you guys need to know about these types of situations is that you have to, before you take any kind of trade based off this information, we need to wait to see why the plane crashed. Okay? If it's not a Boeing defect, then Boeing is going to reverse. Okay? If it is a Boeing defect, then there's a problem. But if it is pilot error or something outstanding outside of Boeing's, Boeing, then that is going to cause problems for Boeing stock. But if it is not Boeing and it is something external, then I'm assuming the stock will come right back up. But I'm not gonna trade that. Sort of a moral thing. I'm not really interested in benefiting or making money off of that situation. So, yeah, not me. I just let that be. But yeah, pretty sad. Sucks, man. That's my biggest fear right there, for sure. My biggest fear. I do not like getting on planes. That's like, to this day, still sort of a fear of mine, for sure. All right. Let's jump in. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Over to the charts. Here we go. So, let's get this pulled up. Let's see what we're working with today. Let's see what we're working with today. Okay. So, ES. Let's start on the ES. Let's start on the S&P 500 futures. So you guys can see today we have failed back, and the key thing yesterday was the previous day highs, right? And if you guys, were with me yesterday morning and you paid attention and you focused up, you heard us say when that CPI came out, right here, we'll go and zoom into the CPI move. The first thing we said when the CPI move came out was, if you fail back under the previous day high, yeah, it's going to sound different. It's because it's, hold on. Yeah, it's a different mic. Does it sound all right, Jason? It's going to sound different, but hopefully it still sounds all right. So what we said was, if the CPI move does not hold up above the previous day highs, there is going to be concern of downside coming in, right? We had to hold these previous day highs at 60.50. If you fail back under that, it is going to create weakness. So we had a lot of games played at that level throughout the day, right? A lot of days, a lot of games, right? You had games here, games there, a little bit of games here, games there again, and then finally, this is where it gave up, right? Finally, later day around 2 o'clock, you finally got the move on the fail below the previous day high. This was the trade that was over 200% for me in like 10 minutes. This was an awesome trade. Yeah, that was a sick one. And we have probably going to create a nice video on these trades from yesterday. But really, all that I did yesterday was focus on 60.50. That was really my main focus, is are we trading above or trading below the previous day's highs? There were some opportunities to long above previous day highs. There were some opportunities to short below that previous day high. But the key thing was, this was your pivot, right? This was the pivot point of the day, the previous day high. So very clean. Very clean. So we have a rejection of the 60.50. Later day, we come lower, and then look at this, right? Look at this. Look what starts to happen. This is where you actually saw a day form for the first time. Who can see it, right? Who sees what I'm talking about? It's right here. You finally created a trend. Why is this a trend? This is previous low of day turning into an intraday rejection point. Unbelievable. When was the last time we saw that? So this felt great. I mean, this was just beautiful. Here's your low of day. Here's your low of day. Here's your low of day. Here's a new high a day. Here's a new high a day. Here's your after hours high. Beautiful. You finally found a structuring move, right? Something that actually made sense. So this was a beautiful example of the lows turning into rejections and a reason to stay on the short side, right? Beautiful. Some confidence-inspiring move, finally. Confidence-inspiring move. So we move forward, right, and we can see that we are now still underneath that level. We are under the 60.20 level, and now we're actually trading under our 6,008. So where do these levels come from? Well, the 60.20 level, I want to point out, and that is our last Friday's data high, which I think is going to be important. So you can see right here from last Friday, we had that non-farm payrolls, and that high in the pre-market and into the intraday hit 60.20 and got smacked. 60.20 got smacked. So you also see 60.20 turning into support, right here, 60.20, 60.20. Now look at this today. Look at that 60.20 failure right here in the pre-market. So that is absolutely level. Now the next level is our 6,008. Now you guys should know where 6,008 comes from. That is this major previous high back here. You guys should remember this. 6,008 has been a level on our charts for almost 2 weeks now. 6,008, 6,008, right? And look at where we're at today. We failed that pretty much perfectly here in the 5-minute chart. 6,008. So to the upside today, it's very clear. We're cautious here. We're cautious here. We're cautious of fails. We're cautious of fails. We're even cautious of fails. This would be the best failure right here, right, at yesterday's lows and intraday highs. So I'm looking for rejections possibly here, here, and here, right? I would say these are rejection plays to be looking for today at 6,008, 60.20, or 60.35. Those are definitely spots that I'll be watching. Now, this is our bearish flip level that we have talked about. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about where this starts to get truly bearish, and that is a break of where we are sitting right now. We are sitting at 59.90, 59.85. This has been our major spot. You can see right here, we have the Tuesday lows, we have the Friday lows. If you break under 59.85 today, 59.90, if you fail these lows, I believe you are going to get some more weakness. For now, this is the channel low, right? Here it is. You have navigated to channel low. Here's your channel highs, 60.50. Here's your channel lows. If you break this low at 59.85 today, I would assume you go pretty much vertically lower to 59.73. And I mean like vertically because of this. See this? Underneath 85 today, you will go vertically down to 73. So if you do get this move, I would absolutely get interested in it. Okay? Underneath 73, you will pretty much go down to 59.55, and this is because this is all of a gap. This is all after hours action right here. So if I move this over, you can see here is the end of day on Thursday, right? There's your end of day Thursday. Here's your beginning of the day Friday. So this right here is a gap. So if you do break below 59.73 today, you have a gap fill to 59.55. This would likely get aggressive as well. Honestly, if we broke below 59.85, I would even consider targeting 55 for 30 points on the ES. That would be the aggressive move to look for. So that is something I'm definitely watching today. Now, is that trade available yet? No. No. Why is it not available yet? Because then you're just shorting into these lows, which is very possible that you just see this bounce again. So it's not a trade yet. But could it develop? Yes. Do you want to game plan for it? Yes. If you are running and scrambling, trying to understand what's going on when the market is trading today, and you don't have your set plans, that's when you miss things, or you chase things and you lose. So that's going to be one set plan that I have today, to look for a fail under 85. That's definitely number one. I am personally not interested in longing these lows today because of the price action that I saw yesterday. It's just quite not really that interesting. You're also continuing to make lower highs here, and I don't want to be longing into this downtrend at the moment. I think you have definitely found some kind of an exhaustion move today or yesterday. That's just my personal opinion, but let's see what, PPI could change that. Maybe PPI just rockets this thing higher. And I would beg to say here, my friends, and I think this is something that you should be thinking about. If PPI does not take out these highs, it is all, I would say it's going to be given back. If PPI does not take out, right, and it's not going to go straight up to this high. I mean, I'd be shocked. But if if we start moving higher and we take out this high, then I'd be interested in saying, oh, okay, this thing's actually strong. If you move higher today and then you see a failure maybe at this 50 and it does not take out this high and it makes a lower high, I would be very cautious, right? I would be very cautious. So this just feels exhausted to me. The market has been in this very sort of grindy move over the last couple weeks. I feel like you need something. I would say the best thing to look for would be something back to like this gap fill and this daily 20 SMA. All right, that would be right here at our gap fill look, right here at 59.55 and that daily 20 SMA. That would make me a lot more confident to try to take some longs after a good pullback. I just think that you've gotten slightly exhausted here, and I would be very careful of like chasing longs back into this just mess that's been developed here in this zone. I just don't really like that idea. So let's see what PPI does. But for now, these are my levels. 59.85, 59.73, 59.55, 08, 20, 35, 50. Okay, very nice, very clean. NASDAQ futures. So I think your rejections are going to come anywhere between, I think it's between 900 and 860. These are the levels that I'm watching. Or this is the zone that I'm watching. You can see right here. You have these highs, you have these highs, you have this consolidation low, you have these highs from yesterday, you have these rejections here this morning, and you have this failure here. So this looks pretty heavy here, right? I would say if you trade back into this level, you could see another failure like this, right? Like this. I would be very careful of a failure within the 860 to 900 zone on the NASDAQ futures. That would sort of be where I'd sort of, watch price action to see if I can catch another downside move. If you get back over 900, then I think you probably flip back towards this channel and back towards this 22,000 level, right? And trade back within here. So this is sort of my line in the sand to the upside. I'd be watching this for failures up here. To the downside, we have our very clear bearish flip, right? We had this marked out yesterday, and guess what? It's pretty damn clear that it is the bearish flip because it's trying to hold on for dear life today. Look at this. We had this on the charts yesterday. I did not change this. Lows, lows, lows. Spot on. It's spot on again. So if you break under 720 today, I think you're going down to at least this 635 and likely back down towards this 560 in the daily 20. That would be the target. That is a very, this is a very gentleman move here. If you're shocked by this, then you're just, biased, really. This is a very gentleman move. Come back down to the daily 20, take a little chill pill, move down a whole shocking 1%. Oh my God, the market's tanked. We're down 1%. It's all over. No. Okay, that's a very common move. 1% pullback down to a daily 20. Chill out, right? Chill out. That's a very good move to happen, and I think that's probably something you should try to protect yourself and expect here a little bit, rather than just looking for just upside, right? So 720, that's probably pretty. If you don't hold this 720 today, you're going back to this daily 20, in my opinion. If you fail this low, this is a very good move, right? Back to the daily 20. So let's see if we get it. If we do, I want to trade it because I think it could be very advantageous. Why? Because it's a gap, right? Why do I think that's an advantageous move? Because of this right here. It's all a gap, right? Basically from 720 to the lows of Thursday, you have nothing but pre-market upside. This is very interesting to catch to the downside, right? So I would be paying attention to that. That looks very interesting. I would assume probably the best opportunity sitting out there right now. If you get over 900, then that idea has failed, and you probably move higher back to 22K, back to 22,120. Okay, we'll see what PPI does. SPY under 597. That is our gap area. Under 597, you gap down towards like 593. Here's 593. Guess what is there, right? It's all making a lot of sense, isn't it? What else is at 593 in gap fill? Daily 20 SMA. Unbelievable, isn't it? So that's pretty nice, right? If you start to move there. So, what do you need to move there? Under 597, I think you would trade down into 595 at first. And then under 595, you would trade down into 593 in the daily 20. That could be really nice. The one thing that you need to pay attention to today that is on the weak side is right here, 601. The fact that we're moving back under 601 is very important. Shout out PIF. I know PIF's been staring at this level for weeks. 601. Right here, right here, right here. So you are back under that, right? Failures. Tried to hold above it, did not, failed back under it. That's a very telling move there, my friends. So if you stay under 601, guys, I would not be that interested in upside here. There's really not much reward back into 601 highs right now. So I would be looking to see where these fails come in, right? Maybe back at 601, another failure, or maybe at these Wednesday's highs right here. Sorry, I got to zoom out a little bit. Wednesday's highs at 599. Take a look at this. I'm sorry, Thursday's highs. I have that wrong. Thursday's highs. Let me change that real quick. Thursday's highs right here. See this? 599, 599. So if we fail 599, we're going to 597. If we pop into 601, I'd look for fails back into 597. If we get over 601, then you flip that back to the upside, most likely. Most likely. But we'll have to, read price action at that time. So we'll see. 597 breaks, 595, 593. QQQ. So the Qs have a pretty distinct rejection zone that I would be having on your charts today, guys. Right here between 532, 533, I think continues to be a very distinct rejection area. You can see right here, rejections, 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 and rejections, right? So you popped into it, you failed. You popped into it, you failed. You popped into it, you failed. You tried to hold above it, great, but guess what? You failed back below it. So at this point, this is very heavy, right? Because you have now trapped buyers above it, and you are very clearly back below a major rejection point. Like, this is somewhere you do not want to be longing into. So if we're trading below 532, 533, I think you're looking for downside here personally, but you can't be shorting. That doesn't mean I short my account into major demand lows. So what do you need? You need a pop. You need a pop, and you need a fade look back into the supply level. You can't short at these lows, and then this does this. You get squeezed out. Desi's an idiot, and then the next day, straight back down. Why? Because you entered at the demand lows, and you didn't enter at the supply highs. All right, that's the difference, my friends. Desi said to short the market. I shorted at the lows. I lost 70%. Desi's an asshole. Then we go back into these highs. It goes absolutely straight down. I can't believe I missed the move. What a ridiculous move that is. No, it's just the fact that you're not entering at the right spots, right? That's the difference. Can't enter shorts at 528. You either need a pop into this high and a rejection, or you need a failure below the 528 level. That's the difference. So look at 528 today. If it's holding, I would not short into it. If it fails below it, I would consider that short back into 525. And then possibly down into the 524 and daily 20, all right? 3 minutes until death. I hope it waits for. I mean, Piff. You know what the best. You guys know what the best thing to happen today is, right? If you want to short, the best thing you could get today, if you want to short this market, is a pop to the upside. Pop to the upside, fail back under this high, bam, short, straight back down. Right? That's what you want. You do not want this to go straight down. If this goes down, then the day probably is a grind back higher. So I would be very careful if we go down today on the short side. You want this to pop higher, try to move higher again, show more exhaustion and more fails, trap more buyers, and then move it lower, right? That's what you want. You do not want this to go down if you're short, if you want to short. Of course, if you're short overnight, then sure, yeah, you do, but all right. The Russell did exactly what we expected, straight off to the 200 SMA. I mean, that was absolutely perfect. Yeah. That was just like the easiest no-brainer read there was. IWM straight up into the 200. Failures, congrats to anyone that took that. Straight back down to 210 is where I think you're going to see that. And then the Dow Jones has still not gotten over the daily 200. Wild. The Dow Jones is still just stalling here at the daily 200 SMA. Crazy. It's just, look at that. Just smacked right at the daily 200. I mean, on the cent. Holy shit. On the cent. Is that exactly at it? Tell me the 200 SMA isn't important right now. I'll ban you. Look at this. What is that? 43,159? 2 points off. Tell me that's not important. Look at that. Bam. Oh, it's beautiful. All right. Data. Here we go. Hamish. Pretty weak bounce. Pretty weak bounce. PPI slightly lower. Pretty weak bounce, man. Almost looks like a non-event to me. All right. Yeah, that's nothing, man. A whole bunch of nothing. Haven't even gotten over the next level or even got close to the next level. Jobless claims slightly higher. Okay. Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Trust the levels. That's it. All right. Tesla. Sexy. Sexy Tesla yesterday. Right off the daily 20. Tell me it's not important. Who caught it? Gap up. We said be careful of Tesla gap ups. That's not something you want to be getting all horned up about, is a Tesla gap up. You can see the Tesla gap up went right into our 336, right into our daily 20, straight down to fill the gap all day. Beautiful. Exactly what it should have done. That is gorgeous. You should be happy about that. It's much better than this just going straight up again. Right? That's a great move on Tesla, that it filled the gap, came back down like a gentleman, and just sort of pulled back nicely. Love it. So what's next? Well, you can see right here, these highs at 318. Look how they're holding. That's going to be your key spot today. If you fail under 318, you're going to 312 again, right? Under 318, you're going to 312. We pushing now? Tesla seems to be pushing. Not really. But demand is holding. Demand is holding, right? That key demand down there, it is surely holding. So that's your important thing. Look at 720. Look at that ES 5990. So demand is holding. So have to be open to that. Can't short into that. Very, very, very clear. Okay? So Tesla, right? 318. These previous highs right here. Look at this hold coming in. What does Tesla need to get over? It needs to get back over 324. Tesla failed this entire move around this 324, 323 area. We have to get back above it. So today, I would look for Tesla to come back up, reclaim if you're going to long this. If Tesla does get back strong again on a pullback and hold at this level, right? If this is just a break and retest of these highs right here, then you're going to need a move back above 324 and then a push back towards 336. If you do not get back over this 324 and you fail it, and then you move under 318, then you're going here to 312. You fail that, you're going here to the daily 200, daily 100 at 305. Okay? That's a pretty clean one today. Definitely going to watch it. NVIDIA, a little bit sloppy, but I will tell you one thing about NVIDIA. These failures to move over 144, 145 are concerning to me. That is a lot of failures. I just think you're starting to get maybe to the point where, and I'll say this, and I regret saying this because, it's a little bit against what I say, but it's for good reason. You guys know that I'm building a home, and I've had most of this rally. I had some margin on my portfolio, right? I made a lot of money using that margin on this recent rally, and I did pay off all of the margin. So I paid off all of the margin that I had on the M1 account, and to do that, I did sell some shares of NVIDIA, which I think is actually a fantastic move. I really do. So I can show you guys real quick, just show you the situation we got over here. I'll just show you because why not? So something I don't typically do, but I think it was smart because of the margin I had. So you guys can see here, I paid off the margin on my long term. It was $172,000 in margin, and I did that by selling some NVIDIA and Tesla. Sold it at 142, which I think was a great sell of some shares to pay off that margin loan. And that's the move I recently made, just so you guys know. Still up $122,000 on this account, which is great. But just wanted to point that out. That is something that I did do, and I am happy that I did do it where I think it was a good move where we're currently sitting, personally. I think this is a good spot to sell some NVIDIA, honestly. It's made a monster move back towards the all-time highs. Why not, right? To pay off a margin loan, I think that's a good move. So that's something that I did. Just wanted to point that out, and let's get back into NVIDIA. Back into NVIDIA, 139.50. You guys can see, I think that's probably a key spot that you're going to move lower into. You can see right here, 139.50 is a very big inflection point. If you come back into that, there's probably a decent little long opportunity, to be honest, if semis stay hot. If you fail under this 139.50, 140 area, then I think you will get back into the 137, right back here, 137. I will say the SMH is, you need to watch this today if you're going to trade semiconductors. The SMH has to reclaim 260 today. If the SMH fails 260 today, then you're going to have a semiconductor cool-off day, right? You're going to have a semiconductor cool-off day back to 256 if you fail 260. So watch out for that. Do not find yourself long semis if you're failing 260 today. You are longing the top if you do that. This has been a great move on semis. This is possibly the first, look, you possibly are getting the first stair-stepping lower, right? This is how you trade structure, right? You need to know what, if you fail this structure, you are trading down into this now. And you don't want to be long if you're in this trend here, okay? You want to be long in this. So be aware of that. I don't think it's the time to be too aggressive on semis after this run. I would say same thing with AMD. AMD has to hold right here, 119.50. We talked about not longing AMD into the 200 SMA, right? Into the 200 SMA. Be careful longing AMD into the 200. That's at 125 supply. You can see a nice rejection yesterday. You have to hold 119.50. If you do not hold 119.50, there is a very low volume area here down into 116. So be aware of that. Okay? ES moving. So we're up into 6,008. Okay? That's the first spot. You're still below. Something I want you guys all to have on your charts today, for the love of God, please. Please put on the previous day highs, previous day lows. And please make sure you are not too aggressive on the long side if we're trading below the previous day's lows. Please make sure you have that on your charts. Okay? So we went over that. ARM 141.60 has been a very tough spot. You can see right here. 141.60 fails, and yesterday attempt higher and fail. It looks like ARM's just sort of stuck in this 136, 141 zone. TSM, not bad. I'm not really interested. What about Broadcom, my friends? Who took this? Who took this trade yesterday? This was something we've been stalking for like 4 days now. Saying, hey, watch out for Broadcom to make a move off this daily 20 and 243. Oh my God. I didn't take it because I did not understand why it was going higher without the market. So that's just my excuse for you guys. But if you did, I'm very happy for you, and way to go. That's awesome. But what a read. Market just did not really align with me going straight up all day, which is wild. But if you took this and just said, screw it, I like Broadcom's spot, congratulations, guys. Awesome. I mean, just straight up to the target. That is an awesome move yesterday. Congrats, man. So, really nice. Hurt a little bit watching it, definitely. But I would be careful, guys. This could just be one of those last, pops back and then a failure. I would be very careful here. You did not necessarily break anything, yesterday. All you did was bounce off demand. You did not break over the next level, right? You just bounced off demand into the level, bounced off demand into the level. So this could very easily just be a failure and then move right back down. So make sure you know that. I would be a profit taker here unless you get back over 256. Then that gets interesting. Amazon, it's got to hold 212, got to hold 212. You fail 212 today, I think you get a little bit slippery down towards this daily 20 personally. I think you got to hold this 212 spot. You can see right now it is holding. If you hold this, you go back into 216. Google, big hold, okay, big hold 177, very nice. That's got to hold. You got to get back over 179. You got to get back over these rejection points if you want to be long today. You can't long back into these failure points. So for me, this has to get back over 179. If you get back over it, then I'll look for that sort of pullback long back into these highs. If you push and fail, then you're making lower highs, and that's a problem, okay? So make sure you're paying attention to where's that next level before I start longing these lows, okay? 695 right here on Meta, 695. Look at this, 695. Be careful longing into 695. If you get back over that, then maybe you can look for that hold back above that low and then a move back into 703. But this could just be a pop and fail for a lower high still. So you need to be open to that. If you fail under this 686 low, then you move lower into the 670s, 680, high 670s. Let's go to Palantir. Very strong stock. Really nice looking retest going on right now. Not going to lie. Palantir sketches me out lately, though. I don't know. Palantir has some weird trading days lately, man. It sort of feels like controlled a little bit. But, I mean, this is sort of money right now. 135, 135. If this thing does break out off 135 and today is strong, that's going back to 140. You fail back under 135, then this gets sort of smacked up, in my opinion. If you fail back under this 135, this gets smacked up back to 130. But that's an interesting hold there on Palantir, no doubt. CRWD, interesting name. Obviously, I'm waiting to see if I can find like the next big opportunity. I would watch over, sorry, this is CrowdStrike, CRWV, my bad. I get those confused sometimes. But CrowdStrike, we'll look at it too. CRWV, good consolidation right now, needs to hold over this 145, needs to get over this 167. So I would just set an alert on either side here. There's going to be a move here outside of this channel that will be advantageous. Either a break and hold back down to 127 or a break and hold to new highs. Definitely watching this. CrowdStrike, same thing. We've been talking about that long off the daily 20, what a long that's been, but the 480 spot is really where you need to break. I'm going to create an alert above 480 to know if that happens. What else? Microsoft just ripping and still holding over all-time highs. This has been probably the strongest stock, to be honest. Look right here. Previous all-time highs, just holding. Just, yeah, looks great. Looks great. Not really sure how you're going to trade this unless you're chasing it over this high, but that's really what you're going to have to do if you have, if you want to trade it here. I would say anywhere between this 475 high from this day or this high from yesterday is going to be what you're watching to see if it can hold above. But for now, the best entry continues to be this low. That's really the best entry. APP, still interesting. If we get some strength on this market, this is absolutely still an interesting 4-hour pullback. I would not lose sight of this. It's sort of sleeping right now, but that's typically when things start to coil. All right, so previous highs, lows, 375. This is still alive. It's still alive. I would be watching it. All right, I think that's about it. How are we doing on the likes today? 2,900? Yeah, not bad. Not bad. All right, so we got our big demand hold. That's step one, right? We got our big demand hold right at our key level. Boom, straight off demand. We are now back over 6,008, which we will change. I'm going to put this actually at 6,000 and what's the low yesterday? 6,006, which is previous day lows. I'm going to put that on my charts. PDL, previous day lows on the ES. That will now be a level you do not short into. I'm not going to short back into a previous day low. That does not make any logical sense. So that is something I will watch. If we fail back under the previous day low, then that gets interesting. But for now, you're back over this previous day low off this key demand. So we're going to look to see if that holds and maybe pushes us back into the 60-20. Maybe the 60-20 gives us a failure move, right? So it's watching level by level here. NASDAQ, I will put a level here at PDL, even though I have my script for it, but I will put it there. The lows, 790, PDL. And then change this to just bearish flip. Okay. Good. Up into our supply highs here. QQQ trading into our 532, 533. Please be careful up here. This is definitely important. We can put a little PDL here. Lows of 530.11. Okay, got it. SPY. I'm actually just going to put this right at that spot at, what is this low? 599.27. Good. Previous day lows, which also probably lines up pretty damn close with the Thursday high, but we'll leave it there. We'll go ahead and do it both. Thursday high and PDL. Yeah, pretty much lines up perfectly there. Okay. Careful into the 601. Yep, 597s. Friday lows, 597. Yep. Okay. That's it. That's all I got. Limit your size so that fear does not become the prevailing instinct guiding your judgment. How's that? Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Go watch the video from yesterday. Good luck today. If you want to trade live with me every day, down below in the description. If you want to get my free morning watch list every morning, about a 2 to 3 minute watch list for you guys to check out, that is free. You can check out the link down below that says free morning watch list. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.